You are now listening to the Select Gaming Podcast.
Dusty, I have known you for far too long, and yet I only feel that recently I've come to discover your true identity. Hold out your palm before me so that I may tell you who you really are.
Who am I? Who am I as a gamer
you-
is what I want to know, though.
Do you consent to me doing a psychoanalysis of your gaming habits?
100%.
All right, Dusty, I want you to clear your mind, and I want you to answer these in a yes or no fashion. There's no nuance. The Select Gaming abandons all nuance. So, Dusty, are you tired of the news, hype, and drama that surrounds current releases of video games?
Yes.
Okay, I knew it. I got him. All right. Do you typically wait at least 12 months after a release to play a video game?
Absolutely. The only time I've broken that rule as of late was with God of War Ragnarok. Had to have that day one.
Yeah. So that and Mr. Mosquito number 2, when that finally
jeez.
releases,
when they
that's
finally-
a day one.
That's day one, yeah.
All right. Are you sick and tired of paying $70, $80 for a brand new release of a video game?
Yes, those games are too damn high. Gotta wait
Are
for
you
the
tired-
greatest hits, guys.
That's right. I want my games to exclusively have red banners across them and green banners on the side. Are you tired of video games being released with bugs and issues to be patched? And is that why you bought the Intellivision Amigo physical product?
Absolutely. As we all know, the Grand Theft Auto anthology was garbage the first month. Gotta wait 2 years to at least play that stuff, guys.
Do you hate buying a standard edition of a video game only to see the gold edition come out with all the DLC?
Yes, Mortal Kombat 10 was a perfect example of that. I waited 3 years to get that game. What's up?
And Dusty, do you simply just not have the time to keep up with all the latest new releases?
I'm a very busy person. We're all busy, but I like to think that Dusty Maxwell is the busiest out of all.
Well, brother, have I got a community for you to join. I want you to bow your head and go to /r patient gamers or r/patient gamers on Reddit. And I want you to sign up because Dusty Maxwell, you are a patient gamer. Now, have you even heard of this before?
No, but when we were talking off air, I actually really love the definition of this. And I feel like there's a lot more people out there who have this sort of gaming personality that they don't do the day one thing, and they just kind of play things as they feel that they need to, like when they feel comfortable. Yeah, dude, it's interesting. It's a very well organized little thing here, just going through some of the posts and whatnot. Some guy saying he just played Red Dead Redemption 1 for the first time 14 hours ago.
Yeah, there's these are people straight out of my heart because there's like a couple below that. There's someone who's talking about how he almost gave up on BioShock Infinite, but then he came roaring back, and actually he's quite into it. I'm absolutely a patient gamer. Mostly for me, it's a time and price issue. As you might have guessed, the Select Gaming is not on any mailing list to receive free copies of games. Although if you do, get in the comments. But we are so for that reason, I often feel annoyed. I feel annoyed when there's a new release, and I'm like, I actually really want to play that, and then I plop down the old plastic at the old GameStop, and then I'm $80 poor or $80 plus poor.
The thing for me though too is I do a lot of, well, not so much now, but I do a lot of late night eBaying where like I buy used games, or I'll buy decent priced PS4 games that I still want to play. I remember, I think it was a couple months ago, I said to you, I'm like, hey man, I just got Biomutant for like $15. And that game looks amazing. I mean, whatever, it's like, I'm sure it'll be fine when I eventually play it, but like I got excited about getting it for $15 brand new. There's just so many moments now like that where it's a time and a money thing, and there's a lot of deals out there if you look hard enough. And I kind of like gaming in that way, where it's like I don't need to play everything when it comes out. I have a lot of things that I want to play, so it's nice to just kind of actually go through it, finish them. Because the other thing is too, I think the people who, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but the spending habits and buying habits of people who buy games day one, they don't actually finish. A lot of these gamers don't finish these games. Like there was some weird survey that Rockstar Games was doing with some of their consumers, and they were like, "Did you finish Red Dead Redemption 2? Did you finish Grand Theft Auto 5?"
Right.
And overwhelmingly, people were like, I don't know the percentage, but they're like, no. Like more than half of the people who bought Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5 did not finish those games, did not finish the stories. And it was either because they ended up just playing it online, or another game came out and they moved on. So if you buy something, why not just like finish it to the end? And for me, I think you're a bit of a patient gamer though too. Like you've done some crazy JRPGs where you're like playing them for like almost a year, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I used to not be a patient gamer, but I used to have access to cheaper games more frequently. The thing that annoys me about games, amongst other things, is that it's quite easy to like Cyberpunk 2077 is a really really good example, because when that game came out, it came out in a real state, and I love those types of games. I love the sort of first person, highly narrative shooters, and I really wanted to play Cyberpunk 27. And you see the list of the laundry list of problems with that game, and I don't know if CD Projekt Red have sort of like resolved the majority of those issues, but I know it's in a hell of a lot better state than it is now.
Yeah.
And certainly it's one of those situations where you think to yourself, it's like being a patient gamer. Ironically, I feel like it kind of pushes against my better instinct as a hoarder of physical media, because actually I really want to pick up a physical copy of Cyberpunk 2077. But that version that's on that disc is going to be an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster.
Yeah.
And as a patient gamer, that's not so much a problem because you download it. But if those servers ever get down, then the whole patient gamer aspect to it sort of falls by the wayside. I mean, mind you, I'm also prone to doing the whole eBay purchasing late at night. I mean, how else do you explain why I have a copy of Smuggler's Run coming to my door? Like, you're like, I remember that game, and you want to play it, and that's how that ends up happening. Is there like a rhyme or reason to how you eventually come to picking a game, or is it happenstance? Is it circumstance?
A lot of it is happenstance, but I'll give you a perfect example of how being a patient gamer for me has paid off. And one of it comes to this example of a game that has become one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, okay? When you look at a game like No Man's Sky that came out in 2016, there was a ton of hype around it. There was all these things that were promised, and gamers everywhere were just, I think this game was way too overhyped, okay? And I think what ended up happening is it got out and people saw the game and they played it and they're like, this game is broken. This game promised these certain things. It doesn't exist, so on and so forth. And for me, I just remember seeing things about it and being like, this looks really cool. And I can't wait to play this game in 4 years, because I don't want to get into this right now because it's too crowded. It's like going to see the movie day one. It's like going to see Star Wars day one. I don't want that, man.
Yeah.
I'd rather wait when it cools off and I can actually get the seat that I want. You know what I mean? So with No Man's Sky, playing it for the first time in like 2020, I loved it. And I was just like thinking back to all the things that people were saying of like how terrible it was. And I'm like, what are they talking about? What are you guys talking about? This game is phenomenal. And I think being a patient gamer with regards to that whole thing was like, that paid off significantly, because I never existed in that world where I saw all the bad. It was great day one for me. And that's the thing too with Cyberpunk. like you said, I'm sure it's good now, and it'll probably be even better in a year. And I mean, it's kind of more of a testament to like how games are made, where they're just like, this is the deadline, we got to get it out. Who cares if it's broken? We'll fix it with the patch. It's like you couldn't do that 20 years ago. The game that you made, that was it. Now it's too forgiving. And I think, if anything, because of that, if you do practice a little bit of a patient gamer persona, it will pay off a little bit with a better experience.
I think that not everyone who is into games as a hobby like we are has the mentality that allows them to feel like they're connected to the hobby while also being a patient gamer. And by that, I don't just mean like the fear of missing out sort of like type of attitude that a lot of people have, which is certainly strong and powerful. And, I'm not immune to that. Like, I tell you, with the next Metal Gear Solid, if that ever happens, especially if Kojima is back on that train, I'll be there day one.
Yeah.
If the good Lord decides that he's going to end our long global nightmare and release a Silent Bomber 2, I will also be there. But by and large, I've reserved myself from getting involved in picking up too many games that are day one releases. I will say I'm contemplating doing Final Fantasy 16 because I'm really into the aesthetic of it, and it looks like it's a super competent Final Fantasy, which I couldn't necessarily say about other games. But I will also mention that I think that people who don't go back and play old games as regularly as we do, I think being a patient gamer requires that as a little bit of a skill set. Because I mean, frankly, like there are some PS3 games now which maybe sort of stretches the boundaries of being a patient gamer, but there's plenty of PS3 games. Like, I really want to play Puppeteer. I somehow never managed to ever end up playing that. I don't know if that can.
I really want to play Duke Nukem, the PS3 one. The time
forever.
Yeah, I just with all the stuff surrounding it, and that's the thing too. Like some of those games from the past have a lot of stories about them that it's just kind of like I gotta play this.
So at some point, I think the line between patient gamer and retro gamer sort of like becomes blurred. I guess like you going now back in time and playing like Killzone Shadowfall technically counts as being a patient gamer.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not quite, and it doesn't quite count as retro yet. No. But maybe if you played like the original Mirror's Edge, that counts as retro gaming. I don't know.
Maybe. I guess we don't really know the cutoff, eh?
I think it's. I mean, I think it's probably like a current and still kind of active generation. Like PS4 is kind of active. Atomic Heart came out for PS4 as well.
I would say I don't know, if it don't connect to the internet, it's retro gaming in my opinion. It's retro gaming. I don't know.
Yeah. Is there a threat that the servers are likely to go down and you'll lose all the games you bought? Then that counts as retro. Is there anything that would break you out of that mold? You said God of War, but is it strictly certain franchises, or if a No Man's Sky like game comes out, would that help you? Would that break it?
No, you know what? The only thing that I get excited about I'm never really a day one purchaser. I'm usually like a 2-month purchaser. So the only thing that I really get excited about in terms of like being like not a day one purchase or like within the first month of its release is from indie developers, dude. Right now, weirdly enough, I'm excited about Humanity. It's a game where you're Shiba Inu and you guide people on platforms to places. Weird as hell. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about a game that I just saw called Gibbon Beyond the Trees, indie game where I'm like, I could get behind this. And I think I get excited about the indie games because I'm like, it's 2 hours, it's 3 hours. I could finish this right after dinner and then before I go to bed. And I can sleep like a baby knowing that it's just like I beat a game and that was a cool experience. I can't get excited over things like Cyberpunk or like a new No Man's Sky because that's just too much. It's too much commitment, and I think that's the thing with these games. they come out and they want to take over your life. They want to move in with you, and they want to just be there all the time. I can't.
They leave a toothbrush on your sink.
Yeah, I can't do that with a lot of these, day one games, big games. But I could do that with God of War. I could do that with Kojima stuff, because with that stuff, we have a history with them, right? Those aren't just games. That's family. I don't mean to be like all like Vin Diesel here, Fast and Furious, but like that's family, bro. Okay? I like the idea of just being a patient gamer, because most of the stuff that they put out there, I feel like I've already played anyway. So why not just wait for the right games that, speak to you the most at the end of the day?
Thank you for tuning into the Select Gaming Podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. We create videos for the Select Gaming that are guided by our personal interests, and your support makes that possible.